for all of us to be able to do this and to share it with the world. Because I think not many people are used to reading the Course of Miracles in a deep dive like we do. Um, it's,
Or
I see that.
connect the way we do.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I see a lot of folks just kind of want to just skim through it and, let's read the whole chapter now and, talk about it later. And this way, um, I love because we actually can bring it into our own experience and share our own experiences about the course and about what it does for us in our lives. So it is such a live thing, it's a living thing. It's not just a static read the book. And and I do think that when we're looking through the course the way that we do, that we're digging through the form to find the content. Uh,
Amen.
because I mean, I've read this a bazillion times, but I never get it like I do when we're sharing here. It never, ever. So we are in the process of psychotherapy, and this is good. The definition of healing we're talking about, and I was thinking about that today when I don't know who was what we were one of the many groups or teachers that were on today about what is sickness and what is healing, what really is healing. Um, and so because if we're going to be talking about sickness being a defense against the truth and sickness having some sort of impact, what is it that we're talking about? Are we talking about the mind or the body, or what are we talking about? And of course you know the answer, but um we'll we will uh work it out anyway so that we can all have an experience of what it really means. What does sickness really mean? So let's look at paragraph 5 is where we left off last time. I think we may have even read this paragraph, but I think it's good to go over it again because this is important. Um, who would like to read paragraph 5? Are you guys seeing it on the screen?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rafi.
Yeah, I just saw it now. Sickness takes many forms. So does unforgiveness. And that's what I did with all of that insanity that happened 2 days ago. I just forgave my ego mind for being as crazy as it is, not wanting me to be happy because it doesn't know what it is. The forms of one but produce the forms of the other, for they are the same illusion. So closely is one translated into the other that a careful study of the form a sickness takes will point quite clearly to the form of unforgiveness that it represents. Hello. Yet seeing this will not effect a cure. That is achieved only by only one recognition, that only forgiveness heals an unforgiveness, and only an unforgiveness can possibly give rise to sickness of any kind. It feeds off itself.
Yeah. I love that he put these two together in just this way and is saying basically it's the same thing. So once you've determined that there is some sort of a sickness, and I don't, I guess, the idea of what is sickness is important to understand because, and that's again what we were talking about earlier today, what sickness is not anything of the body. Sickness is of the mind. And so, and it is also a belief that something is happening that should not be happening. And so anytime we have unforgiveness, anytime I have unforgiveness, that's a sickness. And it doesn't just it have to do with the body or my mental state or how I feel about things. If I'm in unforgiveness about anything, that is sickness. And so that's what I have to understand, that, what am I not forgiving? Does anybody have any thoughts about this or anything they'd like to share? Any examples, or you don't have to bare your your soul here, but it's good to share these things. Gloria, please go ahead.
Yeah, what was popping out at me was any form of unforgiveness is a judgment. So if we're in unforgiveness, we're judging.
Exactly. So what are we not, how does that come into my experience, or how do I know that I am in unforgiveness? What are the kinds of things that would indicate to me that I was in unforgiveness? Let's see. Who has their hand up there? Rafi, please go ahead.
Brooklyn's hand was up there before me.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
That's okay,
Brooklyn,
Ralph.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, unforgiveness doesn't feel very good. And, when we're sick, we don't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. So if anything makes us upset,
Mm.
we can or even feel a little bit nervous or anything less than joyful, less than wholly joyful. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, the benefit of a sickness is that it's a trigger. If I'm emotionally upset, if I react to a situation instead of stepping back and being totally accepting and understanding what it's for, um, then that's my cue to take a look at it and say, okay, what's going on with me in this ego mind of mine that needs addressing right now, and go after it. So, I mean, I look for the blessing in everything, because, how many times has Dev said, what could you not accept if you knew every single moment was, divinely orchestrated for your benefit. So that's, and it's been a constant practice with me over the last few years. And I don't have to explain to you how highly effective it is. It is really the answer. Find the triggers, find out what caused them, let them go, and once they're gone, they're gone. There may be more of it later on, but that part at least is gone.
Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just really just step by step by step. And we know the steps, but the first thing that has to happen is I have to recognize that I'm being triggered. I have to recognize that there's something that is not that is like I said, less than joyful. And and until a lot of times you don't even recognize it. A man will walk for a day with a tack in his shoe, not even realize there's a tack in his shoe until he gets home and takes his shoe off and there's blood on his sock. What happened here? How did that happen? Well, I've been walking around all day with something poking me that I didn't even notice because I was so used to being uncomfortable, or I expected it, or it whatever it is. We are so uh uh not sensitive to our own thoughts and feelings, and this is why when big things come up, it surprises us so much. We get so shocked when big upsets come up because we're not expecting, we're used to a certain low level of pain that we're just like living through all the time, and not even paying attention to until it builds up to a point where it's it really is gonna shock us. And then we realize, whoa, what happened here? But if you look back, you'll realize it's been going on for a long time. Karen, please go ahead.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, everyone. That was a really good analogy, the tack in the foot. This isn't what I was going to share. I'm just going to share it quick because it came to my mind. My dad was a workaholic and an alcoholic, and he was not feeling well for a long time, but he got used to not feeling well. He was like, "Oh, I'm just run down. I'm just run down." It was always, "I'm just run down." Well, come to find out, he had cancer, and he had it was undiscovered until finally he was so sick and he got checked and it was in the final stage. So that's exactly the tack in the shoe that you're talking about, and yeah, you get used to it. You just get used to feeling like crap, thinking it's normal, and it's not. And joy in the course is the result of gentleness, and gentleness is, I notice when I'm not gentle with myself, like Glorian said, there's a judgment. There's a judgment behind that. What am I judging? What am I judging against myself? And I always like to be reminded in the introduction of the psychotherapy pamphlet, where he tells us that psychotherapy is the only form of therapy there is, since only the mind can be sick, only the mind can be healed. And that's the reminder that I like to remember, because it's always what am I thinking about right now, and why am I believing this? Why am I believing this? It's not the truth, and I can still get caught up in the lies, and I know by how I feel. And luckily, thankfully, it doesn't take me as long. But to get past it and recognize it, so I'm never upset for the reason I think. But it's still sometimes a challenge with this body. I mean, this right now, I'm camera off, ice on the knee, ice on the back. It's like, when's it going to end? But at least I can laugh at it. I'm not taking it too seriously. But if I am not, you talked about the joy. If I'm in anything less than joy, I'm also, the mind of God is perfect love. If I'm not thinking thoughts of perfect love, well, I'm not in my right mind. I am not in my right mind. So am I thinking thoughts of perfect love? Am I believing that I am perfect love? Can I see everything as love where I call for love? So that's all. Thanks.
Wow, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. And then that's it. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And we just gotta pay attention and be aware. Glorian, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, everyone. The last sentence here. That is achieved by only one recognition. So yet seeing this will not affect a cure. That is achieved by only one recognition. That only forgiveness, which is the relinquishment of judgment, heals a judgment. Healing, making whole, making one. And only in unforgiveness, which is judgment, can possibly give rise to sickness of any kind. And that's because as we relinquish judgment, there's no projection. It's neutral. It's equality. It's oneness. It's sinlessness. It's guiltlessness. So the recognition that the unforgiveness is tied to judgment, which is a projection of fear that we place on the grace of God. That's all there is. And if we recognize that if we relinquish that judgment, those false ideas, we move into a space of neutrality. And in neutrality, there's oneness. Thanks.
Wow. And that's it. It is that simple thing to do. Um, I love it. It's like we're all on the same page here. It's page 5. All right. All right. Does anybody else have anything on this paragraph? So, yeah, I mean, that's all we have to do is pay attention and look for what's really happening. Brooklyn, please go ahead.
You're muted. You're still muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, what Amy used to say about if there's no gunpowder in the gun, you could pull the triggers all you want and it won't go off. So that's our job. The obstacles to love is our gunpowder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And eventually we'll disassemble the whole gun.
Yeah.
But getting rid of the gunpowder is pretty helpful. Um, thank you, Brooklyn. Anybody else have anything? How about we read paragraph 6 then? Who would like to read paragraph 6?
I can, do you want?
Great, thank you, Dov.
Okay, paragraph 6. This realization is the final goal of psychotherapy. I like words like final. This is it. How is it reached? The therapist sees in the patient all that he has not forgiven in himself, and is thus given another chance to look at it, open it to reevaluation and forgive it. When this occurs, he sees his sins are gone into a past that is no longer there. Until he does this, he must think of evil as besetting him here and now. The patient is his screen for the projection of his sin. So whoever's sitting in front of us, is basically giving us another chance to stop judging ourselves, because that's exactly what the psychotherapy pamphlet is saying, that healing begins the instant the therapist doesn't judge what he's looking at. So, it's kind of like what Dove says, no matter what I say about anybody, I'm always speaking about myself. I'm always speaking about myself. And somebody reminded me today, I'm always, I forgot where in the course it says, you're always speaking about yourself. I forgot where, but all right, maybe come to me. The patient is his screen for the projection of his sins, enabling him to let them go. Let him retain one spot of sin in what he looks upon, and his release is partial and will not be sure. So that's pretty much why the Course says, Jesus says, are you willing to see your brother as sinless? And, the famous story about Helen said, no. So Bill Tedford said, well, when you do, you're going to be much happier. So it gets really down to, do you want to be right about the movie screen? Or do you want to be happy? Choose one. You can't have both. That's it.
Thank you, Dov. Yeah, wow. Yeah, this paragraph is amazing, because it really just puts the onus where it belongs, right in the right place. Mickey, please go ahead.
Paragraph and what Brooklyn talked about, pulling the trigger and the obstacles to love. It kind of, in the evening, I've been watching this week the actor Alec Baldwin, The Trial of Rust right now. And So I've been relating it with the Course in Miracles and my own self, and this paragraph relates with that because I've been, I have empathy for both sides, and of course, the life, the form, and the stream that was taken. Of course, it's a classroom, but also, I know that Alec Baldwin didn't mean to kill the form of uh, of the girl that got the actress that was a mother and got her life in the stream taken. So it's interesting to kind of look at it from the outside and look at it and see all the actors playing in this. And he did say I didn't pull the trigger, but through forensic analysis he did. So you see the ego at play in this, and here's a person that has all the money and fame in the world, and yet the ego comes in and has to kind of self-destruct itself in a way, which is a form of self-worthiness. So it's just interesting. So I relate it to this paragraph here, and also to what Brooklyn brought up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mickey. I was thinking about Alec Baldwin too, when Brooklyn was speaking because she was talking about the trigger and the gunpowder. I was thinking that very thing. I bet you Alec Baldwin was wishing that there hadn't been gunpowder in that gun, in that bullet. And did he pull the trigger? Who knows? He said he cocked the hammer. There's only two ways of getting the hammer back after you've cocked it. You have to either manually release it or pull the trigger. Both of those ways are ways that once it's cocked, it will come, the hammer will be released. So, um, the fact that he pulled the hammer is probably the only reason that the thing went off in the first place. Because most weapons, if you ever shot a gun or most of them, it takes some effort to pull the trigger. It's not just most things don't have like a hair trigger. So anyway, enough of that. But it does take some effort. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to get to. It's not like a simple uh um thing. You really have to uh be conscious of it. And Brooklyn is saying maybe he blocked it. Maybe he probably did. If he pulled the trigger, he may have blocked it, the idea of it. But it'd be hard to not know if you did something like that. But how many things do we do that we don't recognize? I mean, we're like, for the most part, humans walking among us here in this world do not have any conscious of their actions and activities. Mostly people are just acting and reacting and not thoughtfully moving in any way at all. So, anything is possible. When people are just walking in their sleep, basically. That's most of the people in this world walking in their sleep. Of course, this is just what he's just telling me right now. The reason I'm seeing that is because it's happening. I'm doing it myself. I just read it in this paragraph. So um anyway, Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks everybody. What a great conversation and such good points. And I agree 100% with Mickey and with Lynn and with Brooklyn. And so I believe everyone is playing their part perfectly. And that really helps me to really accept all things. Like I was having a hard time accepting my granddaughter's decision. And now it's like after, hearing course people, remind me of the course and, also with Holy Spirit's help and knowing that it's all happening perfectly. And this is with everything. It's not just that, it's everything's happening perfectly and everyone is playing their part perfectly. And I also think that now that we're on that subject, I think that he was in shock, because we can't judge any of it. We have no idea. We have no idea what he went through. I mean, to actually kill somebody by accident, I can't even imagine what he's going through, but I know what it feels like to be in shock. I know what that feels like when something terrible happens and your body just goes into shock. When my husband got, once he, the day after he committed suicide, I went to work the next day like nothing happened because I was in complete shock. I just couldn't comprehend, so the brain it's a funny thing, we do block things and, so I can't judge any of it. But I can't imagine how he feels. And, could I read this paragraph again?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay. Paragraph 6. The realization is the final goal of this realization is the final goal of psychotherapy. How is it reached? The therapist sees in the patient all that he has not forgiven in himself and is thus given another chance to look at it, open to its reevaluation and forgive it. When this occurs, he sees his sins as gone into a past that is no longer here. Until he does this, he must think of evil as besetting him here and now. The patient is the screen for the projection of his sins, enabling him to let them go. Let him retain one spot of sin in what he looks upon, and his release is partial and will not be sure. This is like, what an amazing paragraph this is. And this is just reminding me that, forgiveness is, my brother is my savior. My brother is my savior. He's showing me what is unforgiven in myself. I think that he's the one, that he's the problem, but yet he's reflecting to me that it's my projection. It has nothing to do with him. And, when I can look at that, I have another chance to look at it and reevaluate it. I can forgive it. And then when this occurs, it's over. It's gone, and so I'm not in that this what he's talking about, this evil that is besetting him here and now is gone because it's all made up. It's not true. It's just this belief that I think that somebody's doing this to me, it's your fault, and when I recognize, like Dove said, I am doing this to myself, and I take responsibility for that. And my brother is my savior. So, and if I like the very last sentence, let him retain one spot of sin in what he looks upon, and his release is partial and will not be sure. And the Course continually reminds us, if I'm holding one spot of darkness, I'm hiding the face of Christ, just one spot of darkness. So I have to forgive it all. I can hold on to nothing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Karen. And yes, my gosh, you just have to be relentless and as Lisa Natoli says, you have to watch your thoughts like a hawk. You have to watch your thoughts like and if you've ever watched a hawk when they're soaring around, looking around to see where they can find, some moving thing they can, grab, they're on high alert, looking. And, that's, I don't find myself on high alert looking very much. So once again, it is this coming to the place where I am constant and consistent in seeing, I'm just going to say the Christ in everything, seeing God in everything, seeing the divine spark in every situation, every person, every no matter what it is, to know that God is there no matter what. And so, then, the only way that I can judge anything is that, it's God. And that's what, I have to, instead of looking at everyone and everything that I see and looking for my own guilt, recognize that it is that God is there and it's not guilt. But until I get there, I'm going to think that I'm in trouble. I'm going to think that something can hurt me, and I'm going to think that there can be something that can undo heaven. So, it's a choice, constant and consistent. Rafi, please go ahead.
You couldn't really do anything better than to see God or the divine in everyone. I mean, because that's reality. The other thing that brought up is about the thoughts. I have been practicing over the last, I don't know how long, not identifying with my thoughts, making sure I don't identify with my thoughts. A thought comes up, I look at it and say, oh, that's just another thought. And it has nothing to do with, I'm not thoughts, I'm not feelings, I'm not this ego mind. It has nothing to do with me. And as long as I don't identify with the thoughts, they can't take hold. They can't start running things. They can't bulldoze me into something that has nothing to do with the truth of our infinite self. And it's been a wonderful practice. And the more I do, of course, with anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so I've been able to catch it. At first, it was like half the times. Now it's 75% of the. Now it's like around 90% of the time. Of course, these figures are arbitrary, but that's the sense I get of it. Just don't identify with the thoughts. Watch them, see that they're there. They have nothing to do with me. Bye bye. And I don't judge them. It's just another thought. Because if you judge them, you're right back into ego, and that's a nasty little trap. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafi. And yeah, that's it. That the only way you can judge them is this is a gift. This is what I'm being given to show me what I'm thinking. And that's the only thing you can judge anything is all perfect. It's all good. It is as it should be. Glorian, please go ahead.
Yeah, this paragraph is really amazing because it's really talking about the realization of oneness being the goal of psychotherapy. How is it reached? The therapist sees in the patient all that he has not forgiven in himself. He recognizes the projection of his own fear and judgments, and is thus given another chance to look at it, choose once again. By being willing, open it to reevaluation and forgive it, not judge it. When this occurs, he sees his sins, mistaken beliefs as gone into a past that is no longer here. This is what he's talking about. It disappears. Until he does this, he must think of evil as besetting him here and now, making the error real seemingly here and now. The patient in his screen is his screen for the projection of his sins. So we're always looking at ourselves and enabling him to let them go. So it's giving us the opportunity to heal. Every relationship that we have is the screen for the projection of our unresolved guilt and the opportunity for us to forgive ourselves and let it go. Let him retain one spot of sin in what he looks upon, one attachment, one investment, and his release is partial and will not be sure. It's all or nothing. Thanks.
Yep, all or nothing. And this course is believed all or not, 100% or not at all. That's, I mean, it's not like a bad thing, but it definitely is a thing to recognize. Am I doing this 100%? And of course, none of us is. If we were, we'd be a saint now. And not that anything's wrong with the way we're doing it, because we're doing it perfectly. just as the only way we can do it, and the only way that can be done. Anyway, Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Glorian, you know, the unforgiveness is guilt. You know, unforgiveness is guilt, and guilt stems from the belief that we separated from God. So it goes with what Glorian was saying about our oneness. And so that guilt is that belief that we separated from God, and that is the problem. You know, that's the belief in separation. So if I think I separated from God, you know, I think I separated from my brother, and how can I see my brother, you know, how can I see my brother as the same? I can't. And so I forgive it. And I think that's the whole crux of this course. It's reminding us that we are not separate, that we we have the same interests. We all have the same interests, you know, in awakening from this dream. And when we can see that, like, you know, like Raffi said, see the Christ in everyone. And that's what the Course tells us, see the Christ in everyone. Can I see the Christ in everyone? Well, if I can, it's only because I don't see the Christ in myself. So that's this unforgiveness is just reminding me of the guilt that this Course talks about, that is so prevalent, that runs through it, like, you know, I can't even think of the word that I want to use, but yeah, so it's really forgiving. It's just like what Glorian said. And yeah, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful paragraph. I just love this. I love this section. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Karen, and thank you, everyone. Um, you know, I mean, every time we meet, this is the bottom line we come to, right? It's up to me. So, and you know, I just need to be clear on what I'm doing, you know, what it is that I'm doing here. Who would like to read paragraph 7? All right, Brooklyn, please go ahead.
Okay, let me get my hand out. No one is healed alone. This is a joyous song. Salvation sings to all who hear its voice. This statement cannot be too often remembered by all who see themselves as therapists. The patients can but be seen as the bringers of forgiveness, for it is they who come to demonstrate their sinlessness to eyes that still believe that sin is there to look upon. Yet will the proof of sinlessness seen in the patient and accepted in the therapist offer the mind of both a covenant in which they meet and join and are one. Just love for everybody. Love enough for everybody. Yeah. Keep passing it on. The light we share. No matter what the form or what, you know, what the role is. What
Thank you, Brooklyn. And isn't that just it? I mean, we just have to see everyone as being the same. And all of us as one. And I think the point of our oneness is, I mean, you can't speak it often enough, and be grateful for everyone who comes to you that brings you a chance to see again, brings you a chance to see again. And every time we get a chance to see again, we have a chance to be enlightened again and reawaken to the reality of ourselves and our brothers. What a beautiful gift. Glorian, please go ahead.
Yeah, so beautiful. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, what was coming to me is that only equals are at peace, what we always say. And in that recognition that beyond it all is equality is just seeing who we truly are and then seeing it out there beyond the concepts that are seemingly there. And in the quiet answer, he tells us, peace will come to the quiet mind. And the quiet mind is a mind that's not judging. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Gloria, and perfect. Dove, please go ahead.
Just a note, Len, are you aware that there's no mic in Gather?
Oh no. Oh, I just got a message that Gather was just open. And I'm like, why is Gather just opening? It's been opened. Okay, I might have to mess with it here.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out. I'm gonna mute my mic in here. Please go ahead, you guys. Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Gloria. And that's what you just shared. I love what you just shared. And the memory of God comes to the quiet mind. And the other thing I was thinking about, seeing my brother as myself and everything. And, sometimes what I notice about myself that I have to work on and I'm still working on is not to take things personally. I noticed when sometimes if I take it personally, I have a hard time seeing my brother as the Christ. And that is definitely it's been a trigger, for me taking certain things personally. And I noticed it's just certain people that trigger me, and then I take it personally, but I'm noticing it, and that's the healing, is noticing it, looking at it, and that's where the healing comes in, because I recognize it's not them, it's me. And they're my teacher right now. They're showing me they're my savior. And I don't get there right away. I don't get there right away. So it's happening less and less. And it all comes down to the triggers. Like what Dove says, be grateful for your triggers, because it's showing me my mistaken beliefs. And so when I am healed, I am not healed alone. No one is healed alone, because when I am healed, I see everyone healed. I see my brother healed. There's no more animosity. There's no more grievance. It's this is the joyous song salvation sings to all who hear its voice, that one voice that sees everyone the same, seeing my brother as my teacher, as my savior, that there's no one doing anything to me, and always remembering that, it's all coming from my own mind. It has nothing to do with anything outside of me. And I'm still getting that. I'm still getting that. I know it intellectually, but I still experience the other way around. Like lesson 17 says, it's always the thought that comes first, but there's always that temptation to believe it's the other way around. So it's just it's just continually being vigilant, constantly. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen. That was
Go
really,
ahead.
okay, I was just going to say, thanks, Karen. That was really perfect. And Joel is always talking about the impersonalization of the error, impersonalizing the error. And in impersonalizing it, we're choosing not to judge it. And in not judging it, we're forgiving it. But I think everyone here is practicing that, because if we're still here, we're still seeing it. We still have judgments. We still have thoughts. Every thought is a judgment. So we work each day, and like Brooklyn said before, vigilant for God and the kingdom. And we practice relinquishing our judgment and moving into that state of forgiveness where we experience ourselves as one, as you said, and then that giving and receiving is one in truth. So what I accept for myself is then extended. Thanks.
All right. Thank you guys very much. I'm still working on getting back up in Pal Talk. So does anybody else have anything to share on this? Good night, Gloria, and we'll see you probably tomorrow.
Love you guys. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Bye.
All right. So shall we move on to the next section? And don't mind me trying to log into Pal Talk here, but we'll just move on to the next section. The ideal patient-therapist relationship. Who would like to read that paragraph?
I can.
Oh.
I'll do it.
Okay.
The ideal patient-therapist relationship. Who then is the therapist and who is the patient? In the end, everyone is both. He who needs healing must heal. Physician, heal thyself. Who else is there to heal? And who else is in need of healing? Each patient who comes just went away.
Hang on, I'm sorry. I'll get it right back. It's flipping me around here. Okay. Come on, baby. Work this time. And I'll take it back to your reading. There you go.
Each patient who comes to a therapist offers him a chance to heal himself. He is therefore his therapist. And every therapist must learn to heal from each patient who comes to him. He thus becomes his patient. God does not know of separation. What he knows is only that he has one son. His knowledge is reflected in the ideal patient-therapist relationship. God comes to him who calls, and in him he recognizes himself, capital H. There's no you or me, there's no them or me, there's only the one.
What is your identity if your name is not your identity?
I love that from the other day. Who are you without your name? Boy, does that quiet the mind down in a hurry. That's identical to lesson 184. The name of God is my own. And that was Ken Wapnick's third favorite lesson, by the way, of all the lessons. I remember going through that lesson with a fine-tooth comb to try and find what is the name of God. You can't find it. It's not there. No name. What is everything has no name, because who could describe it or name it?
There we go. I'm still messing on trying to get back onto Pal Talk. So if you guys want to continue on, I'm going to mute my mic and speaker, you want me to move the paragraph to the next paragraph?
Yes, yeah. I can take paragraph 2. All right. Think carefully, teacher and therapist, for whom you pray and who is in need of healing. For therapy is prayer, and healing is its aim and its result. That's an interesting sentence. Therapy is prayer. Yeah, so I'm here to heal my mind. But I also should remember, when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. Lesson 138. What is prayer except the joining of minds in a relationship which Christ can enter? So whenever 2 or more are joined, gather, he is here in our presence. This is his home into which psychotherapy invites him. What is symptom cure when another is always there to choose? What is symptom cure? Wow, it's a kind of a mind twister. What is symptom cure when another is always there to choose. But once Christ enters in, what choice is there except to have him stay? There's no need for more than this, for it is everything. Yeah, you're actually letting go of your little small self and entering the light where all is one. There's no need for more than this, for it is everything. Healing is here, and happiness and peace. There are the symptoms, quote unquote, of the ideal patient. These are the symptoms of the ideal patient therapist relationship, replacing those with which the patient came to ask for help. So it's a joining, and I spell joining Joy, joining, and the joining is what's real. For the truth is, we are one. What's illusion or make believe or a lie is there are two of us here when there's really only one. You got to laugh, really. Don't take anything seriously.
Yeah, including Pal Talk, which is down for maintenance.
I just want to mention Shelley Duvall. Some of you know her. She was an actress, played many parts, and she was found. She was just a young girl from Dallas, and Robert Altman, the director, found her on one of his trips, and says, "How would you like to act in my next movie?" She said, "But I'm not an actress." He said, "Oh, yes, you are." And according to, she passed away this morning, but according to the reviewer, he put her in all of his next 4 or 5 movies. She became very famous, and she was a natural actress. But she said, "I got one piece of advice from Robert Altman." What is that? Don't ever take yourself seriously. That's a true
I
story.
love that.
Don't take yourself seriously.
Yep. God bless you, Shelley. She was a great actress, and of course we all are, aren't we? So, but anyway, let's see. So let's see who else has got. Oh, Rafi has his hand up. Please go ahead, Rafi.
Yeah, in regard to not taking myself seriously, ego put up a fight about that a long time ago until I pulled back and reworded it. I said, if all this is a dream, and when you wake up in the morning and you look at the dream and you realize it was never there in the first place. I mean, it was the dream. The dream never really was anything. And so how can you take it seriously? Well, applying that to this waking dream, it's the same thing. When you wake up, like Lester Levinson said, first you see it as a dream, then you see it as a dream that never was. And it's really hard to take a dream seriously. First of all, you have trouble remembering the whole thing. And if you remember it moment by moment, eventually it fades because you get caught up in other stuff. And how important could it be? Well, if this I, this individual body I, is the dream, is in the dream, it makes it a whole lot easier not to take it seriously. And so what I've done is add one thing to it, and that is, if it's fun, I do it. If it isn't fun, I don't do it. And that makes all of the other stuff, gives it the non-importance that it really is. If there's a lesson to be learned for it, learn the lesson and be grateful for the trigger. Thank you for showing me what I need to take care of. I take care of it, gone. And you're right back to how serious can you take this dream? How And if you're in the dream, if I'm in the dream, how serious can I take myself? And I go back and just get back into right away, like, am I present now? Am I aware now? And as soon as you do that, all of this other stuff just melts away. Thank you.
Just something you said reminds me of right now, Prudence, in her playing all the Ken Wapnick things, she right now is playing Walking with Jesus. And I'm forgetting a lot of things like it. Basically, he said the same thing as you just said. And I can't remember what it is that you just said, so we'll pass for right now.
That's funny. You're cracking me up, the Dove. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say a couple of things Rafi said that hit me, Dov, and they might be the same thing you were thinking. I love what you shared, Rafi, and first recognize it's a dream, then recognize that the dream never was. And this is the same thing that the course is teaching us, that the world was over go. And you said be present now. That is everything. And that's what helps me so much, being in this moment now, because when I look at this, it is a dream. This moment is all there is. Like, it's over. Like, in a split second, it's over. Before you know it, we're going to be saying good night, and we're going to all be getting ready for bed, or whatever we do, and then it just keeps going. It never ends. But what I really love about this paragraph, starting at, I think it's paragraph 6, I think it is. But once Christ enters in, what choice is there except to have him stay? There is no need for more than that. That is everything. Healing is here, and happiness and peace. These are the symptoms of the ideal patient relationship, replacing those with which the patient came to ask for help. So allowing the Christ in is everything. Allowing the truth in, healing is here, and happiness and peace, because I'm seeing the oneness. I'm seeing my brother as myself. This is the miracle. The sickness is the belief in separation, and the healing is undoing that belief, undoing the belief that we could be separate, that my brother is the Christ, I am the Christ. And it reminds me of in lesson 153, which is, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. He says, defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. So the Course reminds us that the Christ in you is your strength. You're either choosing between the strength of Christ or the weakness of the body, of the ego. So it's always remembering that, we are one, we are all the Christ. And the way to recognize my brother is to recognize the Holy Spirit in him. So, oh my gosh, this is just really beautiful. And, I'm just being reminded of so many things that are bringing me joy right now in this moment. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I love that. That is just wow. That also gave me quite a chill. But once Christ enters in, what choice is there except to have him stay? And that's all we have to do, is feel the presence of Christ in us. Once we feel that presence of Christ, you're right. I mean, that is the source of love and joy. Does anyone else have anything about this paragraph that they'd like to share? Rafi, please go ahead.
What you just said is vital. Feeling that in the presence of the Christ within us, of this divine presence, and you can feel it. You can start with your toes or the top of your head, and actually feel that divine presence moving up through your feet, through your legs, through your torso, through your upper part, your arms, through your head. You can actually, I can anyway, or do it the other way. It doesn't matter. Or just let it radiate from within because it's the reality. This isn't. And it animates this. So get in touch with that animating force, which is the Christ consciousness. And I do that several times. And you remind myself that it radiates through every molecule, every cell, every atom, every subatomic particle. There's no place that it isn't, and that's the reality. And it's you. I know I can. If I can, and everybody else can. It's the reality because it's the only truth.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And you can feel that. That's what I feel, the love of God within me now. That's what that's all about. So we can actually feel that. And how do we feel that? You know, he says, simply do this. You know, set aside everything you think you know about everything, everything you cherish, everything you love, everything you think is important, and come to God with holy empty hands. You know, it's so important that you know we are in that place where that is not only uh promised, but we're capable of receiving it now. And so beautiful. The only thing that's keeping it away is our resistance. So yeah. Anybody else have anything? So we have time to read one more paragraph. Who wants to read paragraph 3? How about if I read it? All right. The process that takes place in this relationship is actually one in which the therapist in his heart tells the patient that all his sins have been forgiven him along with his own. Okay, just think about that just for a minute. The process is that in your heart, you tell your brother that all their sins are forgiven, that they are sinless, that they are innocent. In your heart, you're telling them this. He's not saying the therapist analyze him, try to figure out why he's doing that, try to figure out what he says in his heart. In your heart, you tell them that they're okay. In your heart, you tell them that that you are loved. I accept you unconditionally. I love you unconditionally. This is the way that this process takes place. We, the therapist, in our hearts, tell everyone around us, tell everyone that we see, tell everyone that we think of that we love them, that they are loved, and that what they are is the sinless, holy Son of God. Everyone, everyone. What could be the difference between healing and forgiveness? Only Christ forgives, knowing his sinlessness. His vision heals perception, and sickness disappears. Nor will it return again once its cause has been removed. This, however, needs the help of a very advanced therapist capable of joining with the patient in a holy relationship in which all sense of separation finally is overcome. So how can we do this? Join with our brothers in a holy relationship in which all sense of separation is overcome. Well, I see those words, holy relationship, and it makes me think that I realized some time ago I was shown that a holy relationship is one in which we share the same purpose. That's the only thing that makes it a holy relationship, is that we share the same purpose. And so when I look at my brother and I recognize not, oh, I share the same purpose as you, I recognize you share the same purpose with me. What you are, what you want, what you desire, what you love, what you hope for, everything that is the goal of your life, you share it with me. We both have the same, we want the same thing, nothing different. When I talk about people that are my good friends, they're my good friends. Why? Because we share the same purpose. And together we can come together to bring about the healing of the world. That's all that has to happen. Remember our brother's sinlessness, that he is my partner here, and that we're here together to save the world. Karen, please, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. You basically said what I was going to say. And then the other thing to the holy relationship is that each one looked within and saw no lack. So we see each other as, I don't need anything from you. I don't need you to complete me because we're the same. I don't need anything from you except for we're our same, like you said, the same purpose, the same interests. And that's what the whole manual really talks about. In the who are the teachers of God? His qualifications consist solely in this. Somehow, somewhere, he has made a deliberate choice in which he did not see his interests as apart from someone else's. So that is it right there. And how do we do that? We do that just by not judging our brother, and by recognizing that there really is, yes, we're different in form, but that doesn't, what Ken Wapnick says, the differences don't make a difference. We can look beyond appearances, we can look to the light, and because we're reflecting that light off of each other, and and I've been using that in my daily life. And, my daughter, she's going through a lot of things right now. And I just look beyond all the appearances that she's going through. And sometimes it's hard, because she's a very special relationship. And she's not only having physical problems, she has a lot of other problems. And so, can I see beyond that? Yes, I can see beyond that, um, and when I see beyond that, I'm teaching her that this is not the truth of who you are. She is the brightest, one of the brightest lights I've ever met. She's very bright. She's very, just her whole being, she just lights up a room when she walks in. Even though she's going through the stuff she's going through, she still has that bright light that shines through it all. So can I see my brother as the Christ, regardless of what the appearance is? Yes. I absolutely can. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. That is it. Just that's it. I really can't add to that. Anybody else have anything to share on this paragraph? I mean, it's all about the whole how we see. Isn't that's what this whole course is about? How do I see? And um that's why change your mind about what the world, enlightenment is just a recognition. It's just a change in how we see things. So absolutely, there's no doubt about it. uh, it's all up to me, absolutely. And that's what makes us advanced, not because we're better than other people, but because we've been given a technology here that is, if used, can absolutely change the world. So that's, the beautiful thing. Brooklyn, please go ahead.
You're muted.
Yep, you're muted.
Thank you. What did no one say to anyone in the 80s? You're muted. But anyway, it's kind of like I once heard someone say you can't put leather on the world, but you could put leather on your own soles. Well, your own shoes. I don't know, that just came to me. We can't, the way we change things is to change our glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. We don't have to pave the world with leather. We can actually wear our shoes. I love that. Thank you, Brooklyn. I love the way you think. Does anybody else have anything to share on this paragraph? All right. Well, I think I'm just gonna. Oh, Rafi has his hand up. Please go ahead, Rafi.
Just very briefly, the indication in this is how ego wants everything to be difficult and everything to be complicated. And if you fall in to that victim trap, then what the truth of what is said here then becomes obscured. You have to be aware of it, understand that that's how ego minds operate. Let it go, find it all, welcome it all, and let it go. In divine love that we really are. And then all of what's here becomes much more accessible. And that's really all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafi. Yes, that's it. Just
Well, I wanted to add something to what you said earlier, Lynn. You said purpose only sharing the same purpose makes us join, because we do share the same purpose. And in lesson 25, the first 3 words is only purpose is meaning. So only purpose in this world has any meaning. And there's another line on purpose way up, I don't know, chapter 27 says, nothing survives its purpose. So if your purpose is not truth or oneness or sameness or equality, it's just going to fall by the wayside.
that's it. That's it exactly. And that's why we have to be sure of what our purpose is. And that's doesn't mean that we know what we're doing, we know what the future is. We just know what we intend, what it is that we are looking for, and that will come to us. Our purpose will be shown to us.
Mm-hmm.
I just wrote on the board, our shared purpose is to awaken and know our true self. My sole responsibility in this world is to accept the atonement. Only our purpose remains constant. Only this is consistent. Only a purpose unifies, and those who share a purpose have a mind as one. And that comes from text chapter 23, section 4, paragraph 7.
Love it. Thank you for posting that, Dub. And yeah, that's all we need to do. So all right, you guys, I love you all so much. I'm so grateful for you being here. It's somehow very hot in my room. I'm not sure why. Usually my air conditioner is freezing me out. So when I put on my camera and say good night to everybody, I love you all.
Thanks so much,
And we'll
everyone.
see
Love us.